Hey, what's up, everybody? In this video tutorial, we're going to be taking a look at how to create a tunnel that's going to go through a feature like a mountain or a hill. We're also going to be taking a look at how to create something like an arched bridge that would go over some sort of a hazard. It could be a water feature, it could be a sand bunker. All right, your total pick on that. So let's go ahead and let's get started with creating the tunnel. So the first thing we're going to have to do is taking a look here. We have this mountain that's been created. We want a tunnel that's going to go through the mountain. So maybe our tee off pad is here. Maybe players can choose to go around that water feature, but they have to get through that mountain. So we have to create that tunnel. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a sketch right here on the floor of our course. And what we're going to do is using spline, I'm going to start this spline not at the feature itself, but I'm actually going to start it right in front of the feature. All right, and this is going to curve through this. All right, so I'm going to start it out here, and now I'm just using spline. I'm going to create the path in which this ball is going to follow. So just like we did before at the beginning of the mountain, we're actually going to go beyond the end of the mountain. Okay, I'm going to right click and say okay, and now my path is there. So I can finish up with that sketch. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is come here to work plane. We're going to be picking on a plane along a path. I'm going to come right here to the end and make sure that this is going to 0. All right, so now we can see how that work plane is right there at the end of our path. I'm going to go ahead and say okay on that, and now I'm going to create a sketch, okay, on that work plane. All right, so the issue is that we have all this junk that's in the way, all this material, this model. So what I can do is come in here and go to slice. I can slice back to it. And if you look close enough, you can actually see the origin point. In this case, it's going to be a local origin point that's going to go right to the end of the path. So now I can create a circle at that point, and you have to kind of keep dimensions in mind. So, golf ball dimension, I think we said was like 1.85. So the top part of our tunnel is going to have to be at least 2 inches, but we want to go more than that. So, we can say like it's going to be 3 or 4 inches, for the radius. So if that's the case, our diameter, we're going to say, it's going to be 7 inches. So that's going to leave us 3.5 inches of clearance for the top of our tunnel. Because remember, our tunnel is not going to cut down into the floor. That means we're going to have a groove that's going to be cut into the floor way, beyond the mountain and in front of the mountain. So what we have to do is come in here and draw a line. We're going to track it off the center, go to this quadrant and go to this quadrant, say okay, and now we can finish up with a sketch. I'm going to look at this in a home view, and now we can see that profile is there. So now I can come out to create, I can go into sweep, I'm going to pick the top portion of our profile, come to select, and then pick our path. Obviously that needs to be a cut, and we can see how it cuts it all the way through, that mountain. Now taking a look at this, we can see that maybe, these are going to be too hard of edges, for the ball to kind of go into. It might be kind of difficult for the people who are playing the course. So I'm just going to be using fillet, and I can come here right to the edge, pick on fillet for that edge, and then I can come over here to this side, pick on the fillet for that edge. And now I can come up here with my radius value, which I'm saying is 2. Okay, we can see how it rounds that out. I'm going to go ahead and say okay. All right, so when that is done, I can now go ahead, right click on the face itself, go to appearance, switch this over to faces, and now I can drop this right onto the face. Maybe the inside tunnel as well, just to make it look uniform. And now we can come ahead and drop it onto there. All right, so there you go. We have that tunnel created, okay, going through our mountain. All right, so the next part of this is we're going to take a look at how to create like an arched bridge. So I'm going to go ahead and just take a look at my course. I'm going to say that my tee off pad, this is the entrance into my course. So I'm going to say my tee off pad is over here. Okay, my green and my hole are over here. So I want that bridge either to cross here or, maybe to over here. Okay, so I'm going to see if I can't squeeze it in, going across this way. All right, so first thing I'm going to do is come up here to my work planes. I'm going to say I want to create a plane at an angle. I'm going to come right to this edge. Any edge will work with this. Okay, but I'm going to go to this vertical edge. I'm going to pick on it. And if I look at this in the top view, we can see that right now that's sitting, straight across like so. So I can use my dial, okay, and now I can go ahead and sort of figure out, what angle I want that bridge to go across. So I'm liking the look of that. Maybe I'll spend just a little bit here. Okay, I'm liking the look at that, so I'm going to go ahead and say okay. All right, so we're going to build a profile. It's going to be on this plane, and it's going to extrude symmetrically, which means it's going to go halfway over here and halfway over here. So what I might have to do is use an offset work plane and just pull this over just a little bit, just to make sure that there's enough clearance here. Okay, I'm liking the look at that, so I'm going to go ahead and say okay. And now I can go ahead and create a sketch on that new plane I've just created. Obviously, we have a lot of material that's in the way, so we need to slice back. Okay, I can see my water hazard here, but the thing is I need the geometry of this floor, okay, so I know where to sketch to. So I'm going to come into Create, go to Project. I'm going to pick on Project. Here's my floor on this side, and here is my floor on this side. Let's see if I can grab it here. Okay, once I have that, now what I can do is I can go ahead and use arc. I'm going to use a 3-point arc, and I'm going to say that my bridge is going to start here. Okay, it's going to go to here. Okay, and now I can determine, okay, what that radius is. All right, so we need to give some thickness to our actual bridge. So I'm going to use offset. I'm going to pick on this. I'm going to use that scroll bar, send it up. Then I'm going to say that this is 12 inches in thickness. And I'm going to go ahead and say okay on the offset. So obviously the top of our bridge is not coming all the way to the floor. So I can come up here to modify, go to extend, and I can extend that, okay, down to the floor. Okay, so I think we have that all projected. This is all projected over here. So I'm going to go ahead and finish the sketch, look at this in the home view. Okay, and now I can use extrude. And I'm going to come up here and say this is going to be a symmetrical extrusion. I'm going to send this to whole length, and now I can tell it, how far I want that to extrude. All right, so mine's going into the golf green a little bit. That's okay. I'm going to go ahead and change this from a cut and send it over to a join, and now I can say okay. All right, so my bridge is going across. All right, the issue that we have is obviously there's no sides on this. We want to keep that ball in play, maybe put some, sort of walls on it. So there's two ways of doing this. Okay, we could come back into construction. We could turn on that last plane that we were using. Okay, or another way we could do this, I'm going to turn these off. Another way we could do this is by coming up here to construct and saying we want to create a mid-plane work plane. So if I pick on mid-plane, all I have to do is pick one side of it, flip it around, pick the other side of it, and now that new work plane is going right through the bridge. Okay, I'm going to say okay on that. I'm going to create a sketch on that new work plane, and I'm going to go ahead and slice graphics back to it. All right, so once I have that, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to project. Okay, so I'm going to pick on that bridge to project, and I'm going to say okay. And now what I'm going to do is use offset. Okay, I don't want to offset the whole loop, so I'm going to uncheck chain select. And now I can go ahead and grab this edge. I can pull this down. Okay, and right now it's saying that that's going down about 5.5 inches almost. Maybe the floor on this we want to be, like 4 inches. So we can say that we want to send this down like -8 inches. Okay, now I can say okay on my offset. Okay, so all that is going to be, a loop. We can see that with our highlight. All right, we're looking pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and just finish that sketch, look at this in the home view, and now all I have to do is go to extrude, find that profile. I'm going to do a symmetrical whole length, and then I'm going to say, I want the walls to be like 2 inches thick on both sides. So 2 inches on one side, 2 inches on the other. That's 4 inches. Our total path is 40. So I'm going to say that my cut, okay, is going to be a distance of 36 inches. Okay, so it's going to cut all that out. Okay, that's going to leave little rails on the sides of it. Okay, and now we have ourselves, our arch bridge. Okay, at this point, obviously you can go ahead and you can, make rails on it, for safety purposes. You can go out there and change the appearance on it. But that's how you would create an arch bridge as well as a tunnel with Fusion 360 for our miniature golf course project. So good luck.